Welcome, everybody, to Tino's Time Wrestling. And on this episode, I'm going to give you a recap of everything that went down this weekend at SummerSlam and NXT Takeover 36. So let's not waste any time and let's start off first with Saturday night and let's talk about SummerSlam because it's supposed to be the biggest party of the summer. It's supposed to be one of the best pay-per-views of the year. And I'm not saying that it was a bad pay-per-view, but the first 5 matches were less than 5. I think the longest match was 13 minutes, and that was the Damian Priest and Sheamus match for the United States Championship match. But other than that, there was no match that lasted longer than 15 minutes until the Seth Rollins versus Edge match, which it rightly deserved. But like we talked about in my pre-show, I just thought there were a lot of other matches that deserved more time. And I also said I was really hoping that they weren't going to do this, but they did. So let's get right into it and let's talk about all the results and everything that went down. And let's start on the pre-show. I talked about it in my pre-show. I talked about how there might be a match added, and it was one match I didn't mention. It was Big E versus Baron Corbin in a match, in just a regular singles match. If you haven't watched SmackDown lately, Baron Corbin stole the Money in the Bank briefcase from Big E because Baron Corbin is trying to figure out life, and he's just trying to figure out a way to get some money and do anything he can. So they decided to have a match on the pre-show, a SummerSlam, and in the end, Big E ended up defeating Baron Corbin, and Big E got his Money in the Bank briefcase back. Thank God. Big E, let's see what you do. Maybe he'll cash in. Maybe he'll cash in tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. Maybe he'll come in SmackDown. Who knows? I'm just happy Big E got the Money in the Bank briefcase. But now, let's get back. Let's get to the main show, and let's talk about all the 10 matches that I went over in my actual pre-show. And, like I said, I did mention the Big E and Baron Corbin match. So the first match that happened on the pre-show, it was Randy Orton and Riddle, RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos. And like I said, not many of these matches lasted very long, and this was one. It only lasted about 7 minutes, and these four guys did a lot of good things, and Randy Orton and Riddle are awesome, and they, I'm just happy that they're together and doing their thing. And AJ Styles and Omos, I really didn't understand why they were champions this long, but in the end, I'm really happy to say that RK Bro is our new Raw Tag Team Champions. Not hating on AJ Styles or Omos, I just wanted to see RK Bro win, and I really like what they're doing. And if you haven't looked, go see that picture with them holding up the titles. That was just awesome to see. Randy Orton actually had a smile on his face. We haven't seen that in a minute. But like I said, the match wasn't that long. It was an okay tag team match, but there's not really too much to talk about. But we got new Raw Tag Team Champions. The next match on the main show, it was Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie. And this match, I think it lasted 3 minutes. Alexa Bliss ended up defeating Eva Marie. And after the match, Doudrop makes fun of Eva and says the loser is Eva Marie. Doudrop, you are great. Even though your name is not Doudrop, remember her name is Piper. Don't forget that. Her name is Piper. It's not Doudrop. Vince McMahon just likes to come up with different names. But Alexa Bliss, she won like I said in my pre-show. She did a couple weird, creepy things. And, we'll have to see where this character goes. But I don't know where exactly it's going to go because I don't really know how much farther it really can go unless they want to bring Lily alive. There's been rumors of that. So maybe that will come true. But we'll have to see. The next match that I want to talk about, though, I mentioned it a little bit. I mentioned it a minute ago. It was the United States Championship match, Sheamus versus Damian Priest. And this match was the match that lasted 13 minutes. Like I talked about, there was no match that lasted more than 15 minutes until the Seth Rollins versus Edge match. But out of all the matches before we got to a big surprise that I'll talk about in a minute, Damian Priest and Sheamus put on an absolute show. And like I said, they did their, I didn't say yet, I'm sorry, I was about to say, They did their thing. They beat the hell out of each other. Damian Priest is awesome in the ring. Sheamus, even though he's kind of really hasn't defended the title, in my opinion, this is probably the worst United States Championship title reign I've ever seen in my life, because he really didn't defend the title at all, and he was out most of the time, and he had a face mask on like he was a basketball player. And I get if he had the face injury and everything, but then he shouldn't have had the title, in my opinion. But in the end of this match, Damian Priest did win, and we have a new United States champion. Hell yeah. Damian Priest, the new United States champion. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what happens on Raw in the next few weeks. Let's see who steps up to the ultimate of infinity. Damian Priest, the new United States champion. The next match, it was for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And this match I thought was going to actually happen on the pre-show, but then they added the Baron Corbin and Big E match. But the Usos versus the Mysterio family for the Tag Team Championship match. And, this match was really good. And, this is one that didn't last as long as I was hoping that it was going to be. But watching Dominic come as far as he's come in the last year. If you don't remember, Dominic made his debut last year at SummerSlam. There were no fans. He had the match with Seth Rollins, and it was cool to see him a year later and see how far he's grown and stuff like this. But in the end, the Usos defeated the Mysterios to retain their tag team champions, and the Bloodline is still owning SmackDown. And hey, I'm not mad about it. I love the Usos. I love the Mysterios. I did take the Mysterios in my pre-show, but if the Usos want to win, I'm all about it. But now let's get up to let's get to one thing that was ginormous, people. This moment, we've been waiting for it for a minute, but Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks was canceled, and they said that Sasha was not medically cleared. There were rumors, I talked about it a little bit on my pre-show, that they said that Sasha Banks might not compete. They said both might not compete, but then the last time I saw, they said that they were both going to compete. So I don't know exactly what happened. Hopefully Sasha is okay. But I didn't see that part. I was actually going to let my dogs out, and I go upstairs and I go turn on my TV, and all of a sudden Carmella is coming out. And I'm like, what is going on? And I guess Carmella was replacing Sasha Banks, but I had to go back and watch it and see actually what happened and what the announcer said. But I was just all types of confused when I went upstairs, and I was like, where is Sasha? Why is Carmella coming out? But anyway, Carmella comes out, and the most beautiful woman in WWE is about to get ready to get her SmackDown Championship match. And all of a sudden, guys, I was throwing something away, and all of a sudden, all I hear is Becky Lynch's music, and I literally drop what I was doing. My garbage can fell over, and I got so excited, and I was like, oh my god, Becky Lynch is back. The man, Becky Lynch, the mom, she's back in the WWE. She came back. We haven't seen her since she gave the Raw Women's Championship to Asuka after Asuka won the Money in the Bank, and we've been waiting for Becky Lynch to make a return for a while now, and it finally happened. And I mentioned it, WWE had to do something once CM Punk came back this Friday at AEW Rampage in Chicago in the United Center. I'm jealous. I really wanted an ice cream bar, but when Becky Lynch came back, it was awesome. And Becky Lynch beat the hell out of Carmella. She was like, you ain't getting this championship match. Get out of here, Carmella. She threw her to the steps. She threw her over the ramp. Or not over the ramp. Over by the ring. She threw over the announce table. She just made sure Carmella was out of there. And Becky Lynch said, what about me? And Bianca Belair said, hell yeah, I'm the meanest, I'm the baddest, I'm the girls, I'm the, that was awful. I was trying to do what she said on SmackDown, but that just did not work. Let's just scratch that. Anyway, Bianca Belair accepted Becky Lynch's challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I was like, okay, let's go. This match is going to be lit. This match is going to be a banger. It's going to be an absolute killer. I couldn't even sit down, people. I don't even know what happened. And Becky Lynch squashed Bianca Belair. I'm not. I was so happy when when Becky Lynch returned. I was so happy. I was ready to see this match. But you cannot do Bianca Belair dirty like that. Bianca Belair has had an amazing run as going after Sasha Banks, winning the Royal Rumble, going on to WrestleMania and winning the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then you do her dirty and you have her lose in 11 seconds to Becky Lynch. I get it. I understand it, and I know what you guys are trying to do, and I understand what WWE is wanting to do. They want Becky Lynch to be the champion, and they think that if she's going to bring more ratings and everything like that, and she is. She's the man. She is one of the top women in WWE, not right now. I'm not saying that. I just don't think Bianca Belair deserves that, and I hope that we see a rematch, because Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch is a match that I've been wanting to see since both of them have come up, and Becky was in Raw and SmackDown, and Bianca was coming up in NXT. That is just a match that I want to see. So hopefully we see it. But congratulations to Becky Lynch, your new SmackDown Women's Champion. And welcome back to the WWE, Becky Lynch. Now, let's talk about the next match on the card after we had all that excitement with the return of Becky Lynch. I kind of figured they were going to do something like this. The next match was Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre. And I talked about it a lot in my pre-show. I was really hoping that they were going to add a stipulation to this match, but they did not. And, you know, Drew and Jinder, they kind of fought, and they did their thing, and they battled, and, you know, those two are really good. They are really good wrestlers. And, you know, Drew McIntyre had his phenomenal run as the WWE champion. He beat everybody. He owned Raw for the whole COVID era and the whole Thunderdome era. And it was awesome. But I just was hoping for a little bit longer of a match. And this is why, in my opinion, there just shouldn't be this many matches on a pay-per-view card. Because once we get to NXT, we'll talk about it. And NXT was great. All the matches had, you know, great time and everything. But before we get to that, let's get back to SummerSlam. Because I don't want to get too off track and everything. So, Drew McIntyre ended up defeating Jinder Mahal. And we'll have to see if this rivalry continues on Raw. And, you know, I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of rematches tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. I'm sure we'll see Drew versus Jinder. I'm sure we'll see Damian Priest defend his title versus Sheamus, because that's what just Vince McMahon likes to do. So, we'll have to see, but I'm just throwing it out there. So, at least when you watch this, you could say you heard it first from your boy Tino. The next match on the card, though, this is when I thought, you know, we talked about it. I thought there were going to be 5 big matches. It was going to be Roman and Cena, Bobby versus Goldberg, Edge versus Seth, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Nikki ASH. And I thought that, and Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Well, we just talked about the Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. That didn't work out. Well, now let's talk about the Charlotte Flair, Nikki, and Rhea Ripley match. Because, you know, the match, you know, it lasted about 10 plus minutes. And, you know, there were a couple good moments and a couple good things. Nikki doing her thing and Rhea beating the hell out of everybody. And, you know, but, excuse me. But there was not, like, this, like, oh my God moment, like, kick out. And just, you know, like, triple threat matches I want to see, like, them battle, and, you know, there wasn't like that excitement. And again, like I talked about it, these matches just weren't given enough time because there's so many matches on the card. And in the end, Rhea Ripley ended up being on the side, and after Charlotte Flair tried to do the figure 8 on Rhea Ripley, and, you know, Nikki broke that up and Rhea's leg was hurting, Charlotte Flair ended up getting the figure 8 I don't know why I keep saying Asuka. Speaking of Asuka, where you at, girl? We miss you, Asuka. But Charlotte Flair gets the figure 8 into Nikki ASH, and Nikki taps out, and your new Raw Women's Champion is Charlotte Flair. And what is this now? 13 times? I get she's the queen of WWE. She owns WWE, blah, blah, blah. Her last name is Flair. I'm not hating on her, and I'm not judging her. I just don't understand why she is the champion. She does not need to be champion 13 times. And I was talking to my friend, he made a really good point. John Cena has been a 16-time champion in 20 plus years. It has only took Charlotte seven years to get to 13 reigns. That is ridiculous to think about if you think it in some type of perspectives, because that's just crazy. And I'm not hating on Charlotte Flair, but then what was the point of Nikki cashing in on her? I just don't get it. Does Vince think that Charlotte Flair is what we want? Because she's not what we want. We want to see Rhea Ripley. We want to see Tegan Nox, Chauncey Blackheart, Toni Storm. Where's Toni Storm at? We haven't seen Toni Storm in a minute. There's all these great women that I would rather see as Raw Women's Champion than Charlotte Flair. That's just my opinion. So we'll have to see what happens on Raw. But I'm sure we're going to get a rematch. And yeah. So I don't want to waste any more time on that match, because let's talk about a match that actually delivered on what it was supposed to do. Edge defeated Seth. I just gave it away. Edge versus Seth Rollins was a phenomenal match. Edge came out in his Brood theme, and it was just a banger. These guys beat the living hell out of each other for 20 plus minutes, and it lived up to the hype. Every single second of it was awesome. Every single thing about the match, just everything. It was phenomenal. Edge and Seth Rollins know what they're doing in the ring, and that's why Seth will be a future Hall of Famer, and that's why Edge is already a Hall of Famer. And Edge proved why he can come, and why he competes, and why he can actually move, unlike the guy we'll talk about in the next match. But we'll get to that. His Brood theme, though, people, was awesome. If you, like we talked about in my pre-show, his Brood, if you don't know what the Brood is, go back and watch WWE on Peacock and go look up Brood, because that was just awesome. But Edge ended up defeating Seth Rollins in an absolute banger. So congratulations to Edge. And let's see what you're going to do next. Maybe he'll take some time off. He deserves it, after this absolute banger of a match and after this great storyline. But maybe we'll see him come back, because, I'm down and I'm all about it. I love Edge, the ultimate opportunist. Let's see him compete at Extreme Rules. That's the next pay-per-view, by the way. I think it's September 22nd to be exact, but don't quote me on that but if it is, that's actually a month from today. But let's talk about the next match on the card. And I don't want to talk too much about it, because I want to get onto it, and I'm already taking a lot of time, and I know people don't want to listen to me talk and ramble for hours at end. So Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. We weren't expecting a lot from this match, but I was at least expecting a fight. I was at least expecting Goldberg to do his 2 or 3 spares or his jackhammer or whatever. But Goldberg literally can't wrestle. He can't stand. He can't lift up Bobby Lashley. Every time he tried to lift up Bobby Lashley, he fell down. Every single time he just tried to do anything, it didn't work. He couldn't lift him up to do the jackhammer. He couldn't do a spare. He could barely hit him. I didn't know what was going on. And the match didn't last long. MVP ended up knocking him with the cane in the back of the leg. And they ended up I think that's just what they did. I had to play it off. I don't know if Goldberg really did hurt himself or not. But MVP hit him with the cane. And Goldberg was hurt, and he was rolling around, and he tried to stand up, and he rolled around, and he did not get up at all. And the referee stopped the match, and they said Bobby Lashley was still champion, which I'm happy about. Thank God Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, is still WWE champion. But it was just a waste. I just didn't understand what was going on and what they were doing, because it was just why? Why are they doing this, and what is going on? But I didn't get it, and it just really did not make any sense to me. But anyway, Bobby Lashley, still champion. That's awesome. Now, let's talk about the main event of SummerSlam. Roman Reigns versus John Cena. This was a match that everybody was waiting for. Everybody was watching. Everybody was just waiting for this match. And let me tell you, people, this was another match. It lived up to the hype. 20 plus minutes. These guys beat the hell out of each other. I thought John Cena had it multiple times after the attitude adjustments, after the STFU, after everything. He rolled him up a couple times. He had him 1-2. He only needed 1, 2, 3. Remember, it only took 3 seconds, people. But this match was just everything we wanted. And this was just an absolute main event caliber match. And hopefully this will be up for match of the year at the end of 2021 in a few months. Oh my god, I can't even believe I'm saying that. Where's 2021 gone? We're almost into 2022, people. But Roman Reigns ended up defeating John Cena in an absolute banger and an absolute clinic, like I said. And, I was upset that Cena did not get a 17-time champion, but I get what they're doing with Roman Reigns. He's the head of the table. He's the big dog. He owns SmackDown. He owns Fox. He owns the Bloodline. He is. So you know what, Roman Reigns? I acknowledge you. You are my tribal chief. I even wore your t-shirt. You are the big dog. Unleash. I acknowledge you. You are now my tribal chief, I guess. Because I wanted Cena to win. I was all up for Cena. But I guess I just got to realize that I got to acknowledge you. So Roman, your boy Tino is acknowledging you. And I'm joining the Bloodline. But after the pay-per-view and after Roman Reigns won the match and beat the hell out of John Cena, after they put on a great match, all of a sudden we hear the Beast Incarnate music. The return of Brock Lesnar. He finally came back. We were waiting for it. We thought we were going to see him versus Bobby Lashley in the main event at SummerSlam. But I guess not. I don't know what exactly that was about. I thought he wasn't available. But anyway, he came out. He had a ponytail. He looks ripped as hell. He looks in better shape than he did before. He came out in jeans and a tank top. It was just, he had a ponytail like George Kittle. It was a man bun. It was all types of weird. But then he stood in the ring, and Paul Heyman has his mouth, and he's doing his thing, and he's freaking out, and you know Paul Heyman is. Every time the guy that he helps has somebody coming, he doesn't know what to do. He gets all freaked out. But that's how SummerSlam ended. That's how it ended. They both stared at each other, and we'll have to see what happens on Friday night. We'll have to see what happens on Friday Night SmackDown. But after SummerSlam ended, apparently, I've seen videos that Brock Lesnar suplex City John Cena 7 years back to 2014, and it was bringing back all types of memories. I don't know if it's true. I saw some videos, so I think it is. But SummerSlam, all around, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view, but it wasn't like biggest party of the summer. Hell yeah, let's go. I want to rewatch it. I definitely rewatched the John Cena, Roman Reigns, and Edge versus Seth Rollins. But other than that, there weren't really other matches that I would go back and watch, and they weren't really long enough, in my opinion. But after we went to bed, and after a decent SummerSlam, it was good, like I said. We woke up, we had a good Sunday. Hopefully everybody had a good Sunday. And now we had NXT Takeover 36. And let's talk about NXT. Because NXT, there's rumors that they're going in and a rebranding. There's rumors they're having all types of different types of feelings and everything like that. And I hope none of that is true, so we'll have to see. But just having that in mind, I really enjoyed this pay-per-view a lot more. Because if all those rumors are true and then we come back and it looks like a reality type show, like it did, like a game show back in 2011 or 12, maybe it was even 2010. I forgot what year that was. I think it was 10 or 11. It was when The Miz was the coach, or Kelly was the coach of another superstar. Hopefully it doesn't do that, but I really enjoyed this pay-per-view a lot more just because of that reason. So let's get into the results of everything that happened at NXT TakeOver 36, because what a banger of a pay-per-view this was, people. the first match on the card, it happened on the pre-show. We talked about it a little bit on my pre-show. It was Trey Baxter versus Ridge Holland. And Ridge Holland dominated Trey Baxter in every single way. He didn't have any shot, and Ridge Holland ended up winning. And Ridge Holland, is a beast, and I feel like they're building him up to be one of the guys. Maybe he'll go after the not the United Kingdom, the North American Championship, depending on what happens with Hit Row and oh my god, I can't say it, people. Santos Escobar and his two goons. I don't know why I can't say that right now. I can never say it anyway. But Ridge Holland won and beat Trey Baxter. And Ridge Holland, he's a beast. But let's get to the main card and let's talk about these 5 matches that were absolute killers. The $1 Million Man, not the $1 Million Man, I'm sorry. The $1 Million Championship with LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. If LA Knight won, Ted DiBiase would become his butler and Cameron Grimes would be out, but then Ted would have to walk around in a suit and be his caddy, and nobody wants to see that. And these guys put on an absolute show. We talked about it in the results for SummerSlam. There were too many matches on at SummerSlam. There were 10 matches, and NXT TakeOver 36 had half of that. They had 5 matches and 1 on the pre-show. So there were 6 including, but SummerSlam also had 1 on the pre-show, so that was 11 matches. You cut that in half, and that makes a big deal because each of these matches were at least 10 plus minutes. And hey, if I'm wanting to watch a pay-per-view, that's what I want to see. I want to see these rivalries last. I want to see these matches last, and I've been wanting to see them for so long. Don't give me 8 to 9 minute matches because I'm not going to be happy with it at all. And, this match was really good. And in the end, Ted DiBiase was playing mind games with LA Knight. LA Knight actually got beat up by Ted DiBiase earlier in the match. Cameron Grimes threw him out. And Ted DiBiase was like, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to choke you out. And then he kept messing with Ted DiBiase. And he kept giving Cameron Grimes the title, getting the referee's attention, not getting the referee's attention, beating him up, doing his thing, and it was just great to see. LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, though, put on a show. I love Cameron Grimes. I love LA Knight. I love just what these two do in the ring. And in the end, Cameron Grimes ended up winning the match and becoming your new $1 Million champion. And now he doesn't have to be he doesn't have to be nobody's butler. He's the richest man. He's the most profiling, $1 million man. He's doing his thing. Cameron Grimes to the moon and back, baby. Your new $1 Million champion. Cameron Grimes, baby. I tried to do that. It really didn't work, people. I'm sorry. You can make fun of me. With me, I make fun of myself. It's just what I do. But that match was awesome, and congratulations to Cameron Grimes. The next match on the card, it was the NXT Women's Championship. It was Raquel Gonzalez versus Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, they did their thing. They're ex-best friends. And, they always say best friends, ex-best friends have the best performance and the best communication and the best just thing in the ring. They both can just communicate and do everything well. And that's exactly what these two did in this match. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai beat the living hell out of each other. And, it was a great match in my opinion. And I really enjoyed it. But in the end, Raquel Gonzalez won with a power slam off of the top ropes and pinned Dakota Kai for the 1-2-3. And after the match, as Raquel Gonzalez is standing there with the NXT champion, the women's championship, we're like, who's next? She's already beat pretty much everybody, right? So what is going to be next for Raquel Gonzalez? Well, we got that answer. Kylie Ray Lee from NXT UK comes out and she stares down Raquel Gonzalez. So it looks like we're going to see Kylie Ray Lee versus Raquel Gonzalez down the road in NXT, and I'm all down about it. But now let's talk about the NXT UK Championship match. Walter versus Illinois Dragunov. Sorry. these two, this is a match that has been 10 years, not 10 years, I'm sorry. I said not to say that, but I said it anyway. 10 months in the making. This match was supposed to happen, but it got canceled, and they made it for NXT TakeOver 36, and this match delivered. You know, I haven't given stars out of any of these matches, but this match, I'm going to give a 5 out of 5. It's a 50 out of a 5. It was just an absolute banger. Dragunov's eye was busted. His whole chest was red. He looked like Daniel Bryan after Daniel Bryan competed in the 50-man Battle Royal, or the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. Speaking of that, Saudi Arabia, it looks like WWE's going back, I think in October, or no, I think it's March, or it's either the end of the year, or I forgot. When they said it, I really wasn't paying attention. To be honest, I watched the Saudi Arabia pay-per-views, but other than the Royal Rumble one, because I love Royal Rumbles, I really have not enjoyed. So, you know, but this match was just awesome. Walter and Dragunov beat the living hell out of each other, and it was so back and forth. I didn't know who was going to win. I thought Walter was going to retain. I thought Dragunov was going to win. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was so back and forth. Walter had him at 2.5. Dragunov had him at 2.5, and it was just everything we wanted in a pure wrestling match. But in the end, Dragunov made Walter tap out. Yes, I said that right, people. Walter, the guy that had the title for 800 plus days, tapped out. And we have a new NXT UK champion, Illinois Dragunov. I don't know why I said Illinois. Illinois Dragunov. I hope I'm saying this guy's name right. I really hope so. Because if I'm not, please let me know. But we have a new NXT UK champion, and that is just crazy to think about. But like I said, this match was just an absolute banger. So if you haven't, and you were sleeping, or you weren't watching it, or you don't like wrestling, go watch it anyway, because you like watching people beat the hell out of each other, right? But yeah, these two beat the hell out of each other. But speaking of people beating the hell out of each other, let's talk about this 2 out of 3 falls match, people. This 2 out of 3 falls match was absolute killer. And I know I've been saying a lot of good things about NXT, but NXT just always delivers, and these pay-per-views are just always awesome because there's less matches, they give them more time, they're able to perform, they're able to do their thing, and they're able to do everything that we want them to do. So, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, if you don't know, it was a 2 out of 3 falls, and the first stipulation was a singles match, second was a street fight, and the third was a steel cage. Well, as I mentioned in my pre-show, I said I felt like each person that picked the stipulation was going to win. So, for example, Kyle O'Reilly picked the singles match, Adam Cole picked the street fight. Well, both won their stipulations that they both choose. So the singles match, it was a good singles match. It was about 5 or 6 minutes, and Kyle O'Reilly ended up rolling Adam Cole up for the 1, 2, 3. But once the street fight started, we saw kendo sticks, we saw chairs, they wanted ladders, we just saw everything. They just beat the hell out of each other, and brutality. I just love watching these guys beat the hell out of each other, because as an old school wrestling fan, I love watching these guys do their thing. And I just, they do their thing, and they beat the hell out of each other. And in the end of the street fight, Adam Cole kicked Kyle O'Reilly in the back of the head and pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. And like I said, they both won their stipulation that they chose. So we went to a steel cage. William Regal's decision and his stipulation of choosing. And this steel cage was awesome. But before the match could even start, the doctors were looking at Kyle O'Reilly. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know if Kyle was going to be ready to go. They didn't know if he was going to they just didn't know if he was going to be able to compete. But he was. He got in the ring, and he did it. They beat the hell out of each other in there. These guys just battled, and they beat the hell out of each other in every single stipulation that they did, that they competed in during this 2 out of 3 falls match. It was awesome. I'm so happy. I just love 2 out of 3 falls matches, and especially when it's a street fight in a steel cage. Those are absolute the best. But in the end of the steel cage match, Adam Cole, he grabbed handcuffs, and he he put Kyle O'Reilly in them, and he made Kyle O'Reilly onto the ropes, like he attached him to the ropes with the handcuffs, but it backfired on him, and Adam Cole ended up tapping out to Kyle O'Reilly as Kyle O'Reilly is using the leverage from the handcuffs to get leverage on his elbow or his knee or whatever he is using for most of his power to make Adam Cole tap out. And that one mistake cost Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly won the 2 out of 3 falls match. And, I was surprising. After the match, I heard a lot of people boo. And I don't know if that is because they think Adam Cole is going to jump ship and go to AEW. I don't know what it means. To be honest, I just think it means that Adam Cole is going to go up to Raw or SmackDown, and maybe he's the next one to face Bobby Lashley. Wouldn't that be dope to see Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, versus Adam Cole, baby, for the WWE Championship at the Extreme Rules? I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. At least if you watch this, you heard it first from your boy Tino. But let's talk about the main event, because this result show has already been long enough. So let's just get to the main event, and the NXT Championship match with Killian Cross and Samoa Joe was awesome. This was another one I was looking forward to so much. This was a match I was just so happy that Samoa Joe was able to come back in NXT, and I was worried that he wasn't going to compete this fast, but he did. He came back, and he said, you know what, I want to sign that contract and face Killian Cross at NXT TakeOver 36. And these guys just did not disappoint at all. At one point, I thought Samoa Joe was just going to get, he was just going to get choked out. Killian Cross had him choked out, and the ref was like, hey, Joe, you there? You there? And then all of a sudden, Joe popped up, and I'm like, damn, Joe, where the hell did that come from? And, Joe is just an absolute monster. Joe, is a complete killer. And I felt like there was a reason why they brought him back to NXT. Because, honestly, if he did not stay in NXT, I feel like he was going to go to AEW. So, thank God he's in NXT. And, in the end, Samoa Joe made Killian Cross tap out. And your new NXT champion, your new NXT champion, Samoa Joe. I don't know why I said Killian Cross. It's just so used to saying Killian Cross these past 3 or 4 takeovers because he wasn't getting beat. But Samoa Joe finally stopped TikTok Killian Cross, and we have a new NXT champion. And, I mentioned this, and I did take Joe in my predictions, and I said that I thought Killian Cross was going to lose, because I'm sure we're going to see Killian Cross go to Raw, and hopefully we see him in a rivalry. Maybe we'll see him face Bobby Lashley. We'll have to see. But, this pay-per-view was awesome. Every single match delivered, in my opinion. It was just an absolute banger of a pay-per-view. I loved every single second of it, in my opinion. And I hope everybody enjoyed every second of this whole weekend. We saw CM Punk on Friday night. We saw the returns of Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. And, we saw 5 great, phenomenal matches at NXT TakeOver. It was a great week to be a wrestling fan. They always say it. These promotions are only going to bring the best out of each other, and if that's what it takes to see CM Punk wrestle on AEW, for Vince McMahon to finally get his head out of his ass and bring some people back, because we already know he's burned so many bridges that there's going to be a lot of people that he won't be able to ever bring back, but hopefully he can keep the bridges that he still has, and we won't lose people like John Cena or Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks or people like that, because if WWE loses those, they're screwed, and, we'll have to see. But these were 2 great pay-per-views, and it was just a great week to be a wrestling fan, and it was a great week to be a professional wrestling fan, and it was just awesome. So I hope everybody enjoyed. I know, these result shows might not be the best, and, they might not be the most fun, because we already know what happens, but I always try, and I hope everybody enjoys. So, I hope that everybody has a good month, and does their thing, We're all getting through this crazy couple years that we've had, and getting through it and doing our thing, and that's okay. But we're all stronger after this, and that's all that matters. But if you did not see on my pre-show, I mentioned it. I said that I was going to have something to tell everybody. So hopefully you did listen to me and you did watch the whole thing. So what I have to announce and what I want to say is I will be doing, and I want to start it after September 1st, I'm going to start doing a weekly wrestling show. And we're going to talk about Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And I'm going to bring up AEW a little bit here and there, but I don't want to get too much into that because that's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on WWE. So every Wednesday, I'm going to come out with a show. I'm going to give you my thoughts about the week that was wrestling because I've noticed that, you know, I need to do more shows. I need to get out there more. I need to get a weekly. We got to get some guests on the show. Your boy Tino's got to come. He's got to get on the bump. Kayla Braxton, Matt Camp, Ryan Apola, Evan T. Mack. Help your boy Tino out. Let's get him on the bump. Hashtag the bump. Go watch the bump on Peacock always on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. in the morning. At least by me. I think it's like 9 a.m. to be honest, Eastern Standard Time. But anyway, I hope everybody will be looking forward to that because that will be coming in September. So I hope everybody enjoyed the results show. I hope everybody stays tuned for my new weekly wrestling show. I hope everybody has a nice and safe month. And until we start the weekly wrestling show, and until the next pay-per-view that is Extreme Rules, where there's no rules and nothing goes and everything goes and everybody can beat the hell out of each other, and hopefully we don't see a horror story this year. But until then, this is your boy Tino, signing out.